Hey guys, welcome to the channel again. You know it's your favorite YouTuber that talks about astronomy, Joe Jaguar. What do I have here today? I want to talk a little bit about daytime viewing. Yes. Okay, so let's say for instance, if you have a refractor, can any refractor do daytime viewing? Or you want to get a refractor and you do want to see a little bit of that daytime stuff as well. So what would be better? Both of these are Celestron refractors. However, every company makes a long tube and short tubes. Anyway, this is an 80 millimeter, 900 millimeter focal length, which is f11. This one is also Celestron, but again, does not matter. It is also an 80 millimeter, but it's an f5. Now, just in case there's new people on the channel and they don't know, what does the F number mean? So what this F number means is this, whatever your size of the lens is, and the lens, remember, this looks like the telescope is here, but the lens is actually all the way down here. Anyway, the lens, which is 80 millimeters or 3.1 inch, this one is f5. So if you go 5 times, you have f5. This one is also 80 millimeters. So if you go 11 times, it's f11. If it was 7, it'd be 7 times the lens size long type of thing. So that's how you get that F number, or the focal ratio. I must admit, I don't do daytime viewing all the time, okay? But it is nice if you see some birds outside, if there's mountain ranges, cityscape, that type of thing, or if you're doing solar observing in the daytime, you can then use your refractor. There are differences between a long and short, so it just depends what you're looking for. But I want to show you guys this time outside, because normally in the nighttime, if I do a video, it's always a little dark, of course, because we're night observing, and so it's harder for you guys to see. So it'd be nice now this time you guys to see in broad daylight what are we looking at. And I want to test these guys both so you guys can physically see. If you have a refractor or want a refractor and you're looking for one that could do both, what would be best for you guys? Okay guys, so I have both 80 millimeter scopes here, and I am going to be using a Super Palazzo 32, and the reason is a 32 millimeter 1.25 inch Palazzo is about the widest field, like what you looked at, that space that you look through. It's called a field of view in an 1.25 inch size. So I'm going to use the same eyepiece in both, and then that way you guys can see how much space you can actually see if you're looking at daytime, and why that might be important. Okay, first let's go on this guy and let's zoom into that building all the way down there. Not that we're being peeping toms, but at least you can kind of see how we see it in the telescope. Okay, so we are looking at the building now, and as you can see, it's a low power. This is the 32 millimeter eyepiece, and you can see from the pole almost to the edge of that, or practically, yeah, to the edge there, and there's the pole. So we're seeing all that space. Now remember, with the cell phone, you can zoom in. It has to focus. That's the waviness of the heat of the daytime sun, though. Okay, again, the same eyepiece, as you can see, the field of view is actually less. So if I move to the opposite side, there's the edge. Okay, so you see how much wider that one was? Like more than double, a little bit more than double than this one. And remember, it's the same eyepiece type of thing. Now remember too, that doesn't mean, some of you might say, but the image was small in that one. Remember, that's as low as it can go. So if that's as low as it can go and you're seeing a huge field of view, remember, you could get closer, closer, and closer the image as well. just like you can with that one. But remember, this one cannot go any closer than what was that, about 2 balconies or 2 apartments wide, where that one saw almost half the building. So if you like daytime stuff and you want to see like the whole tree with a bird, and then once you see it, you can get closer, closer, closer. This one could also get closer, but it can't get lower than what you just saw. That was the lowest. And usually the eyepieces that come with it, it's not even a 32 millimeter eyepiece, it's a 25 or something. So it's gonna be a little bit closer, a little bit smaller field of view. Let's try a few other things. Okay, let's try that telephone pole that's across the street over there. Okay, so here we go. So this is the telephone pole across the street, and the same eyepiece. This is with the long version now refractor. Okay, so here is the same light pole across the street with the same eyepiece. As you can see, you're seeing almost 3 times the field of view. The light pole might be a little bit smaller, but you're seeing more, like the poles and the transformer things there, or whatever those wires are, type of thing. Okay, so here is a acorn tree. I could use the slow motion control just to move it up and down. You can see the acorns there. Of course, if you really wanted to with the phone, you can zoom in or put a higher power eyepiece if you saw a bird. But this is the lowest, again, the long refractor you can go. Now I can hear birds, I just can't see them. So let's try that out after. Okay, so here's that same evergreen tree. As you could just see more of it. And of course, if you want to zoom. Anyway. Okay, so here's the sun in the 80 millimeter short tube refractor. Let me see if I can get the light output less. How does that look? So as you can see from this, in the cell phone, it's actually bigger than the whole eyepiece. You can only see like half of it, I guess. It's pretty bright here. Let me dim it down. So you can only see like a portion of it. In the eyepiece, you can see the whole thing, but it is close to the field of view. Okay guys, hopefully you enjoyed that video. Now as you can see on that last part, you hardly saw the sun, maybe half, but that also depends on, in the eyepiece, where the sun is located in the field of view, and then the lens camera of the cell phone is also not huge. So, but in the eyepiece, it covers at least half the field of view, like minimum, and it was at least 3-4 times harder to find the sun in this guy than this guy. Because remember, this one has a huge field of view, this one has a kind of narrow field of view. And looking, you can't use a finder scope to look at the sun, unless your finder scope has a solar filter. Otherwise, you're gonna burn your equipment and burn your eye. So take that into consideration. You have to have the solar filter on the main one, and you cannot use any finder scope at all. Anyway, so take into consideration, if you guys are looking for a refractor and you're gonna be mostly doing daytime stuff, because lately I've had people who said, I want to look at the lake, I want to look at that. Once in a blue moon, I might look at the moon. Then I think you should get one of these. If, however, you want something that's just going to have a better detail, better image quality and contrast on the moon and planets, then you want this one. As you can see, this one can still do daytime, but if it's not a priority for you. So if you're thinking, okay, 80% of the time, I'm going to be using it for astronomy, nighttime. And then, you know, in the daytime, if I'm looking at the sun, if I have a solar filter, or if you're at the cottage lake or anything, and you want to look at bird watching, trees, because it is kind of cool if you have it, and you're outside enjoying the day, and you see a bird. There are birds around, but they're flying so fast to different trees. By the time I go on there, put the eyepiece, then put the cell phone, they're just gone. Anyway, this can still do daytime, But if your priority is 80% or something like that for astronomy, 20% for the daytime, then you're better off getting a long version. Now there is another version you might see. This is a 400 millimeter focal length or f5. There are not as popular, but there are 80 millimeters that are f6.25 or 500 millimeter focal length. Very, very similar, which means the field of view is just gonna be like 10% less, but the color, if you use it on the nighttime stuff, the color fringing, the chromatic aberration is just gonna be, you know, like 5-10%, a little bit better. Then it is possible that you could find something that's in the mid, maybe like you could try finding an 80 millimeter f8 refractor instead of this one being f11, so that way it's going to give you, you know, a little bit wider field of view than this guy. However, on the nighttime stuff, then the image quality is going to go a little bit lower too, or the false color is going to get a little bit worse because you're getting shorter. So it just depends on what you guys want. So short, long, they can both do daytime, but this one has a huge field of view. This one can still do daytime, but as you can see, a smaller field of view, but it just depends on what you want to do. There you go, guys. Like, comment, share my links with anybody. If you guys are on the forums and people ask for videos or ask a question and I have the video, share that video with them. Maybe they'll appreciate it, but cheers.